Demon barbers, walking hard, staring at the sun too long, atoning, making Eastern promises, being death-proof, engaging in an innocent relationship with a lifelike sex doll, spermicidal lube, living in a bus in the wilderness, drinking other people's milkshakes, and betting on your life on a coin flip. Okay, I'm going to wrap things up before the devil knows I'm dead. It is time to find out if there's going to be blood on this episode, or if this is no episode for old men. We are here to cover the legendary film year that is 2007. I'm Andrew in real life, and I welcome you back to the Revisionist Almanac, part of the Movie Archer Podcast Network, the show that gets into the time machine, takes a deep dive into past Academy Award ceremonies, and determines what voters got right, and most importantly, what they got wrong. And we are here to start off Season 3, and I have two first-time guests on this episode, though this is not the first time the three of us have talked about a movie from this year. This is the second time I've had a husband and wife together on an episode, and I expect this to be just as crazy as when I had Betsy and Trent from Never Seen It On over the summer. Please let me welcome in Frankie Sparks and Scott Eisenberg from Shoot the Flick. Hello, you two.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's going. I'm ready for some combustible moments, for sure.
We're so excited.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. Ever since you first promoted this episode and we're like, I'm already scared for Scott's picks.
We're all scared, to be fair.
Yeah, she doesn't know any of my picks. Not one of them.
We managed to go, because you gave us this slot a year ago, and we have managed to go a whole year without talking about our picks with each other. So this is going to be very interesting.
Wow. Okay. I was going to have a question later on about if you had consulted with each other at all. So that's wonderful to hear. I'm just going to hopefully make it through this whole episode without having to pull a Woody Harrelson from No Country and ask Scott just how crazy he is, because it's probably going to happen at some point.
Oh, for sure.
Just a little.
100%.
A little.
I'm so excited, though. I could not have asked for two better people to start off Season 3 of the show. I'm a big fan of the two of you, and the banter that you have together always makes me laugh, and so I'm sure there's going to be some fun stuff happening when we get into the nominations, the revisions, and all that. Just again, as a quick reminder for everybody, we're looking back on past Academy Awards ceremonies with the luxury of hindsight to determine which should have won an Oscar for Best Picture, Best Director, and the 4 acting categories. Before I start things off, I hope you'll take time to rate and review the channel on whatever podcast platform you're using, as well as finding and following the show on every social media platform using the handle Rev Almanac. Also, don't forget you can find all the Rev Almanac content on the easy spot at moviearcher.com. Okay. So we are talking about 2007. If you're unfamiliar with that year, the Best Picture winner was, of course, the Coen brothers' dark, brooding, contemporary Western that is No Country for Old Men. All right, we're going to take a minute before we get into the categories. Let's kind of talk about the year as a whole. We can throw some hot takes and all that stuff out there. My first question to the two of you, and I always ask this to new guests of the show, what was your prep experience like? And maybe if you can impart any knowledge on a future guest who's going to be doing the show, if you have any advice for things that you're glad you did or things you're like, wow, that was a really stupid idea, I should have done something differently. Talk me through your prep a little bit.
Well, as the non-typical Oscar nerd, do you want to start, dear?
Sure.
How this was for you?
Yeah, so this is going to be interesting because, yes, I am not the Oscar nerd. Honestly, until a few years ago, I barely watched any Oscar movie, period.
Blame me for that, sorry.
So it was interesting, it's been interesting diving into these movies, and I think the best way to tackle these movies is try to pick a couple a week, especially when you have a year build-up. Like, I think I watched like 46, 47 movies. But if you look at my letterbox, I've watched 85 movies from this year.
Andrew's face.
You went hard on that prep. That's impressive.
So, including a lot of garbage I've watched. But for, I do advise watching trailers beforehand. Because just to get a hint of, watching the movie and going, am I going to actually nominate something from this movie? Do I feel like there's a possibility?
There were a few on his list that I was like, oh, you don't need to watch that. You're not going to pick it for anything.
I was gonna say, were there any trailers you watched where you're like, I'm not even gonna watch that movie after the trailer? I know it's not gonna come up.
Oh yeah, Elizabeth, the Golden Age.
I told him to skip that one.
I wanted to watch The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, but I'm like, I'm just gonna be sad. I don't want to be sad.
I skipped that one too. I was sad. I was like, I don't have the strength for this.
What about you, Frankie? Any prep thoughts or advice for maybe another guest of the show?
I tried to be really organized with this, and I think I mostly stuck to it. Like, I gave myself a list of things to watch and rewatch. I ended up having like a cool 40 movies that I either watched for a second or third or fifth time, and like things that I was watching for the first time. I tried to divvy it up, like, okay, I gotta watch this amount of movies each month. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But yeah, once we got to the end of the road, like maybe a month in, like a month before this recording, I was like, oh, I still have this to watch. I gotta rewatch this. So it was a little daunting, but it was really fun. I definitely watched movies that I never would have watched had it not been for this. So
Did either of you experience, I feel like, as always happens, about 3 weeks before we get to this point, there's always like a panic that sets in for guests where they're like, oh shit, I've got this many movies still on the way.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny because I even panicked last night and watched the 2007 movie last night because I was like, oh, I forgot to watch that one.
Yeah.
I think
It was the Don Cheadle one.
it was the Don Cheadle one, Talk to Me.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Somebody commented on your post about getting ready for it and like, oh, mention Talk to Me. I'm like, oh, that one, I forgot to watch that one. Found it and watched it.
It's an impossible task. It's like you're never going to get to all of them. I've just given up on trying to get to everything.
Yeah. But yeah, there was a little bit of a panic.
All right, well, let's get the hot takes out of the way. Let's get all the big stuff. So I'm just going to open the floor a little bit to you. So if you've got a spicy take for the year, hit me with a spicy take. If you have some bad movies that you did not enjoy during prep, or if there's maybe some movies that you know you're not going to have a chance to talk about once we get into the categories, and you're just like, I want to shout out this movie, this is the spot to do it. So either of you, feel free to jump in. Do you have a spicy take? Good movies, bad movies? Hit me with what you got.
Okay. So I probably do have some spicy takes. So the movie Control, that talked about the guy from the band Joy Division. I watched it once, half of it, DNF'd, because I was like, I don't get this. I'm not into it at all. He's just, because the main character comes off like just a horrible person, and I'm like, I don't feel bad for this guy at all. He's horrible. And then he watched it, and because I saw like the reviews on Letterboxd were decent, I'm like, maybe I'm missing something. And then he watched it, also didn't like it, and I was like, okay, maybe I'm not insane. But I did rewatch it, the full thing, and I felt the exact same way I did the first time. Didn't like it. And then probably another one that everyone has good things to say about it, and I didn't really vibe with it, is I'm Not There. I really tried, guys. I really did. I tried so hard.
So do you have an aversion to music biopics? Because you just shouted out two music biopics.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like we're so oversaturated with them nowadays. But I mean, I don't like the ever present thing in a lot of biopics where it's like, oh, he comes off like a jerk or whatever, but he's just an artist and you don't understand him. And it's like, okay, it's they even did it in the like Bob Dylan one from last year with Timmy Chalamet. They're like, oh, he treats his girlfriend like crap, but he's an artist, and it's like, sir, stop. And then, there was another one that we both watched together that is very highly regarded that we both did like.
Into the Wild?
Into the Wild.
Oh, yes, the Sean Penn movie, yeah.
We didn't like Into the Wild.
Because
it was also very similar to like the musician biopic thing that I was just saying, where it's like, oh, he's been through such hard times. He found out that, like, what was it, that his mom cheated on his dad or vice versa. And he's like, oh, well, now I just have to go live in the woods because I hate society. And it's like, Okay. I'm trying to sympathize with you, sir, but I can't get there. I'm really trying, though.
Yeah, and yet she rated that movie a 2.5, and I rated that a half a star.
Okay,
Whoa.
no, see, yeah, Scott, this is the thing with Scott, like, he truly gives no fucks.
No.
He gives no fucks at all.
I've seen Scott's Letterboxd enough to know there's some crazy ratings on there from my
wait till we talk
standpoint.
about Atonement, Andrew. Wait till we talk about Atonement.
Oh, okay, all right. We're setting the stage. Okay, Scott, what about you though? Any spicy takes? Bad movies, good movies?
Into the Wild was a rough one for us. But the thing I kept running into this year, there's some highs. There's some really highs. Like, No Country is going to be a high. Like, there's some movies that are like high up there where you're like, this is an amazing movie. But there is a ton of mid. A ton of mid. Where you're like, okay. And even sometimes mid is generous.
Okay, girl. Calm down.
It's so funny because there's always like one or two, possibly more, movies that the Oscars seem to love. That every year I go, what do they see that I don't?
Mm-hmm.
Like
I can
Tar.
think of a few. Yeah.
Tar, Licorice Pizza, The Brutalist.
Oh, God. Girl.
Like it's every year it seems to be
There's
like
always one every year that we're like, oh, everyone's like, it's a masterpiece, and we're like,
and I even okay. Here's my hot take.
We're gonna make everybody mad.
Here's my hot take.
Season 3.
There Will Be Blood is a great performance, but a mid movie.
No, stop what you're saying.
Okay.
All
right.
That's a crazy statement.
And what's the email to reach out to Shoot the Flick for all of that hate mail?
Kill him! Eat him up like he's crazy.
Okay, all right. Let me put some sanity back into the room here. My goodness.
Save us.
I appreciate the hot take, though. I'm with Scott on. Okay, everyone.
There will be blood.
Not on There Will Be Blood. Definitely not there. Everyone looks at 2007 and as this like landmark year. Obviously, it's got a few massive films, but I've even heard some people say that this is like the last great film year, and there's never been like a film year as strong as 2007. And I feel like people forget a little bit, like they haven't gone through the minutia of it, like we've just done. There's a really good top, and there's a whole lot of middle. And that's kind of where I found myself, was like once I got past my like top 15, it was just kind of like everything was mid, to Scott's point. Like there weren't like a ton. I didn't get to a ton of bad movies, but I got to a lot of movies that I just didn't have a great time with. And I'll shout out a few of them really quickly. You saved yourself some trouble not watching Elizabeth: The Golden Age. The original from 1998 is a pretty good movie. I do enjoy, but the sequel, we didn't need it. This might be my hot take, because I know a lot of people who like this movie, and I know it's got really good actors in it with a dynamic Philip Seymour Hoffman performance, but I don't care for Charlie Wilson's War. That's one of those, like, are you with me, Scott?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, you're both with me.
The thing about that movie, let's be real.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's great in it. Everything else I could do without. And then a movie that I finally got to, I'd never watched it, and in hindsight, it was a terrible idea because it was so anxiety-inducing, but not in any kind of stimulating way, like Uncut Gems, for example. And it's called Frownland, and it's by a director named Ronald Bronstein, and he works a lot with the Safdie brothers, so it makes sense that he's got that same sort of tone. But if you don't like movies that make you uncomfortable, avoid Frownland at all costs. A couple of movies I'm not going to get to highlight at any point down the road here in this conversation, but I do want to shout them out now. I love the movie Sunshine by Danny Boyle, which is that sci-fi movie. Okay, good. I'm not alone there either. Okay, Sunshine's incredible. It's a really cool concept, and then it's got great visuals. I think it holds up really well. And it kills me that I don't have enough time to talk about this movie later, but I will be doing a guest spot eventually on another podcast where I'm going to be doing an entire Edgar Wright deep dive. Hot Fuzz just freaking rules every single time.
Scott nominated Hot Fuzz probably for every category.
Okay, thank you.
We will talk about Hot Fuzz.
Good. Okay, good. I was worried.
Oh, sorry. Just to piggyback on what you're saying, like the comedies in this year are actually really dope. Like there were some that I had already seen, like Hot Fuzz, but like I had watched Walk Hard for the first time during this whole process, and I went in expecting it to be like some stupid fucking like meh. But like I laughed out loud like so many times. Same thing kind of with Hot Rod. I laughed a lot at Hot Rod more than I was expecting, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, for what I said about 2007 as a whole, I take back when it comes to comedy. It was a truly goated comedy year. Superbad, Hot Fuzz, Hot Rod's a great movie, and Walk Hard might be the best music biopic ever made. It's just like
yes.
I loved it. Yeah,
it's so good. It's so good. And I'm a Beatles nut, so like when the Beatles have their little cameo, I think it's perfect.
Oh my god, Jack Black as was
Oh
great.
wait, can we just talk about it real fast? Are you a fan of Across the Universe, Andrew?
I enjoy Across the Universe. I mean, I know it's like divisive in the Beatles world, but I dig it.
Because that was like the movie that as a teenager it made me really get into the Beatles. I loved that movie as a teenager, so I literally rewatched it 1,000 times for this prep just for funsies. So yeah, it was really nice to revisit that.
Yeah, there was a couple times I've walked into the house, and she would just be sitting on the couch watching Across the Universe.
On TV.
Hey, I'm no fault there. That movie rocks. I always, like I said, it's kind of it's not a guilty pleasure because I'm not guilty of anything I enjoy, but it's like it's kind of one of those movies where like Beatles enthusiasts are kind of mixed on it, but I've always enjoyed going back to it.
To be fair, you can fast forward through like all the Eddie Izzard stuff.
Yes.
It's fine. Just pass through that and then back to the movie.
Yes. Okay, well let's get to something really quickly before we do get to the categories, and that is the new thing that we're doing, the Gorham Awards for egregious oversight. So if you're not familiar with that award, it's basically we each have the opportunity to go to something below the line. We can look at what won, and we can decide what we think should have won, regardless if it was nominated or not, and then we will turn that over to the fans. I believe you both have selected something that you do want to make a revision to, so that's good. I certainly have something. Let me go over to Frankie first. Frankie, why don't you give us your Gorham Award?
Okay. So I picked cinematography. The in real life winner being Robert Elswit for There Will Be Blood. I picked instead to be the winner No Country for Old Men, Roger Deakins. I just felt as though the cinematography was just like almost its own character in that movie. Like the choices that were made were so masterful, and it aided in every other aspect of the story, the tension, the vibes. I just think it's superior in my opinion, so that's why I picked that.
All right, so that is the very first, but I'm sure not last time we're going to have No Country and There Will Be Blood pitted against each other. That it sort of feels like the thing that's going to happen this year. But we got the first one on the board, cinematography. Now, Scott, you can go in that same category if you want, and if you make another nomination, we'll have 3 things go up, or you can go to a different category. So hit us with whatever you've got.
I'm so scared, by the way.
So I'm actually going to go to best song.
Okay.
Well, we're gonna fight. Okay, go ahead.
So
we're actually gonna fight.
I'm not saying I don't. So I've watched the song from once, and it's like I think it's an okay song, but the fact that music and lyrics came out this year, and that is a guilty pleasure for me, and none of the songs were nominated. And we got 3 Enchanted songs nominated.
Well, that was before they changed the rule, but continue.
Like, you can't, like, it's funny because when you read up on this year for best song, like, they're like, oh, they disqualified the music and lyrics songs because they might have been made for another movie and not used. But the song for once, he wrote before the movie and played it, and it still got nominated. So the Oscars rules counteract.
The Oscars are wishy-washy and don't know what they're doing.
Get them, Scott. Get them.
So I would pick any of the songs from Music and Lyrics. I still listen to all of them to today. They're on my Spotify playlist. So, like...
Way Back Into Love would be like the easy one.
That would be the easy one, yes.
That's your pick of the bunch?
Yes, Way Back Into Love.
All right.
And wins over Once. I'm not going to be that mad, but I do really like Once.
I think this is the third consecutive... Pardon me, this is the third out of 4 times that I've done these Gorham Awards on a monthly episode where we've done a Best Original Song potential revision. So this is definitely a category that's rife for fixing. So good pick there, Scott. All right.
Thank you.
I'm going to go a different direction. I actually kind of feel bad making this choice. I didn't hate too many of the winners, but I felt like I needed to at least put something up there. I'm going to go at Best Original Screenplay. And I apologize to Juno, which I think is Juno's a very, very good movie. I thoroughly enjoy it. I just think when we're thinking of originality, there's a movie to me that's far more interesting and creative and original, and that is Lars and the Real Girl, which is such a clever idea to like take this story about a guy who has all these traumatic things in his life, and then he finds a relationship with a sex doll, but the movie never feels like it's going into territory that's becoming cliche. Like everyone in the town supports this guy. It's a very earnest movie, and they're all trying to like help him get better. I don't know. I find it to be a really endearing, sweet film. But when you like pitch that movie, it should not work on paper, and yet it's so incredible, I think, in terms of how well it's pulled off. So I'm going to nominate Lars and the Real Girl, which I think is more original and more interesting than Juno. Apologies to the Juno team.
Yeah, I'm not mad about that.
Neither am I. I was actually super surprised by Lars and the Real Girl.
It's a great movie. It is a great movie. I will be talking about it.
Oh, me too. We know where Ryan Gosling stands. We know what it is.
Well, you guys might not be the only ones talking about it.
Oh, okay.
My Gosling love runs far and deep and wide.
It's real, man.
All right, so we got 3 different things that we'll be bringing to the fans to vote on for the Gorham Award. So expect to take part in that, and we'll see if we can fix all 3 of those. Before we get into the categories, though, it's worth mentioning that if Frankie Scott and myself agree with what actually won any of the categories, that will skip the online vote and we'll go straight into the Almanac. We'll see if it happens. I don't know.
I'm willing to bet money that it's not.
Okay. See, I was gonna.
So scary. I can't express enough that I'm scared for my husband. I'm so scared, you guys.
I feel like we're gonna come together at least on one. I feel like we'll see.
Yeah, I think one.
Yes. I feel like at least one, the obvious one, is one that we're all gonna agree on.
Yeah, I think one. But yeah, if we get there, we'll get there. All right. Before we do get into this, though, I also want to really quickly mention when it comes to Elliot Page and where we're going to consider him for this episode. I know this is a sensitive matter, and it's one that we have consulted, the 3 of us. I've also consulted with some members of the LGBTQ plus community that I have friendships with to get some additional perspective beyond the 3 of us. Honestly, there's no easy answer to what we do here tonight, but we ultimately decided we're going to keep him in consideration for Best Actress, which is the gender he identified with at the time. And again, our intention is to be respectful and not offend anyone in this. If it does offend you, I sincerely apologize. Please take it out on me. I ultimately made the executive decision to go this direction. I just think it was the most fair for the situation, but I want to respect Elliot Page and everything that he has done with his career. All right. With that said, let us get into the categories now. You 2 ready?
Ready.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. All right, we're going to start in Best Supporting Actress. So the actual nominees in 2007 were Ruby Lee for American Gangster, Saoirse Ronan for Atonement, Amy Ryan for Gone Baby Gone, Cate Blanchett for I'm Not There, and the winner was Tilda Swinton for Michael Clayton. Now, Frankie, I know you are an Oscar fan and listen to this show on occasion. Scott, I know you're not so much of an Oscar person and probably don't listen to the show quite as frequently, which is totally fine. But I'm going to jump in and make it easy on the 2 of you so you don't have to feel any pressure to start things off. So I'll go first, then I'll go over to the 2 of you. Okay, before I get to my 5, some honorable mentions. This was a really good category, I thought, compared to I'm coming off 1973 and the 80s, and there just wasn't a lot of good options those years. Supporting actress, I think, had a really good crop of women this year, so I'm happy with what I got. In terms of honorable mentions, I'm going to throw out Allison Janney as Bren in Juno. I think she's very, very good. I'm an Allison Janney fan, just on the outside looking in. And then my other honorable mention is going to go to Kelly MacDonald as Carla Jean Moss in No Country for Old Men. She's extraordinary. I just don't know if she's in that movie enough for me. As incredible as that final scene is that she's in at the end, I almost put her in because of that last scene that she has with Anton Chigurh. Just couldn't get her in my 5, but I had her close. Wouldn't surprise me if she comes up on your list. But here are the 5 women that I went with my revisions. So I have Ruby Lee as Mahalia Lucas in American Gangster. I have Saoirse Ronan as Brianni Tallis in Atonement. I have Amy Ryan as Helen McReady in Gone Baby Gone. This was such a different performance than Holly Flax, which is what I think of Amy Ryan as, and so it was nice to see her take the other end of the spectrum. I have Cate Blanchett as Jude Quinn in I'm Not There. Third time I've nominated Blanchett. I think she's the best part of I'm Not There. Even if I don't love that movie, I love Cate Blanchett and her little snippet that she's in. And then my 5th nominee is Tilda Swinton as Karen Crowder and Michael Clayton. So, for the people out there listening, that's the exact lineup as the Academy. Has it ever happened before with me? Will it ever happen again? I highly doubt it, but here we are. It's happened once, so enjoy that. All right. I don't think there was any doubt about this one for me. The Academy had their shit together in 2007, in my opinion, because I think they nailed the lineup and they got the exact correct choice. Now, I think we know how great Tilda Swinton is in 2025, but in 2007, I don't think she was really a household name. This was her first nomination. She's so good in this movie. She's diabolical. She's got that famous scene at the end with Clooney when he sort of gets the one up on her. And I just think has the ability to turn on a dime from being this strong, powerful, confident woman to seeing her whole world crumble under her. And then she sort of quivers and becomes this shell of a person. It's just a tremendous performance and a great powerhouse. And so I got to give Tilda the win here. And I also went back and watched her acceptance speech, which was incredible because she took a shot at George Clooney and his Batman bat nipples. And just, I had to appreciate that. You're on the stage holding an Oscar and you're taking a Batman shot at George Clooney. Just chef's kiss. So Tilda Swinton's going to get my win. All right. I'm going to go over to Frankie now for Frankie's picks. Feel free to throw out any honorable mentions before you get into your 5.
Okay, so this is daunting. A year in the making. Okay, so here's the deal. I did put down one honorable mention, mostly because I just kind of want to talk about this movie for a second. I had an honorable mention of Laurie Holden from The Mist. I've never seen this movie before.
Oh God.
Yeah, you know, I feel like it's one of those movies that is really, it's a great screenplay, a good movie. I'm not mad at it or anything, but I feel like it's one of the victims of 2000 CGI where the CGI almost took me all the way out of the film completely. I was just really trying to ignore all of it. The big giant bugs flying around and big octopus limbs. I just couldn't. I was like, dear God. But I really did like the performances a lot. Marcia Gay Harden? Mm-hmm. She was a little much, but I realized you kind of have to be a little much in a role like that. But I really did enjoy Laurie Holden's performances, the more kind of calm backbone of this little band of rebels trying to get out of this hellscape. But I was curious what y'all thought about it in general.
I mean, the ending is pretty infamous at this point because it deviates from the book and it's really brutal.
Yeah, unfortunately, I knew about the ending before I saw the movie, so it wasn't sort of surprised to me, but it was still pretty insane.
Yeah, well, the first time I saw the ending, it broke me as a person. But yeah, I love The Mist, except for the CGI. I love that movie.
I think it still holds up really well on a human level, CGI notwithstanding. So I have a good time going back to it.
But when it comes to my big five, in no particular order, I did end up putting Allison Janney in there for Juno. Originally, I wasn't. I was on the fence. I ended up putting her in just because I feel like she takes a role that on paper seems very like just purely kind of comedic and like just a smart alecky stepmom, and she kind of just elevates it as Allison Janney often does. I also did nominate Kelly Macdonald from No Country for Old Men. She was another one I kind of had on the fence, but I do think that just her kind of being that soft spot for Josh Brolin in the movie throughout, and then that ending scene, it did kind of take me over the top for her. My other nominee, Saoirse Ronan for Atonement. We're gonna talk about Atonement, like I said. For Scott, I did nominate Tilda Swinton for Michael Clayton, but she was my number 2. I did not have her as my winner. Who I have as my winner is Susan Sarandon for The Valley of Elah. I think I love Susan Sarandon in general, but I think that she takes a role that, we've all seen a million times, sort of the grieving mother and, military son and, estranged somewhat from her husband. And this is not a role that's different for any, movie like Valley of Elah or any movie in general, really. But I think Susan Sarandon really, she just brings, like kind of with Allison Janney, she really elevates the role. And even though her role is relatively small compared to some of the other roles in my lineup, I think she is one of the more memorable performances in the movie. So I just had to give her the edge because I was very impressed with her taking such a small role that is not very extraordinary on paper and really kind of bringing life to it.
Well, you zigged where I thought you were going to zag. I did not think you were going to go that direction. So that's right out of the gate. I'm already thrown off by where we're going to end up here.
I'm zigging and zagging everywhere.
All right, Susan Sarandon on the board going up against Tilda. Let's see where Scott goes with his.
First off, I take offense. I listen to your show all the time.
We both do all the time.
We actually have discussions about your show.
Yeah, we argue about it.
I appreciate that. I figured you're not an Oscar guy, so I wouldn't take any slight.
No, I like to argue, so even as I'm listening, I'm arguing with you, even though you can't hear me.
Andrew, between you and me, he has been waterboarded into being an Oscar person, I think, unfortunately.
We're getting him there.
Yeah,
slowly but surely. Okay, so for Best Supporting Actress, ever since you had on your show somebody nominated the GOAT, I've joked around about nominating something crazy. I didn't do it here. I joked about in my writing Bianca from Lars and the Real Girl. I didn't do it. I couldn't do it.
It crossed my mind too, Scott.
Oh my god.
But my actual Amy Ryan from Gone Baby Gone I thought was unbelievable, but I didn't nominate her. She's just on the outside looking in. So I have Helena Bonham Carter from Sweeney Todd. I thought she was unbelievable, and she is clearly supporting Johnny Depp's madness in the movie. Taraji P. Henson for Talk to Me. Also an unbelievable role that could have been so easily forgettable, but she brings it out and makes it just remarkable. She almost, other than Don Cheadle, she almost stole the movie. I have Marcia Gay Harden from The Mist. I think being the religious nut is very hard to do believably, and I think this role actually carries more weight today than it did back in 2007. I also have Tilda Swinton as my number 2. I think she did a great job, and being on screen and going back and forth with George Clooney has to be difficult, but she did an amazing job. My number 1 is Emily Mortimer from Lars and the Real Girl.
Okay.
She is the heart and soul of that movie.
Huh.
She you can feel how hard she's trying. Like, she's put in a situation, by all means, that seems crazy. And I felt so bad for her, but also I loved her performance of it, and she's just trying to hold her family together, and I just loved every moment she was on screen taking a ridiculous concept that I think without her doesn't work. So she is my pick for Best Supporting Actress.
Scott, I'm so impressed. That was good.
I thought I was going to be the only one on the Lars Island tonight. So this
we're all in the camp.
Yes, okay. I'm encouraged by where we're going to go from here. That is excellent. I had her she was at number 8 on my list of 27 women. I think she was really, really good. So I love seeing her get the shout out. This category rocked. Like I was really thrilled that I've been going through a slog of bad supporting actresses, and this was really fun to dive into these. Okay, so Tilda Swinton, myself, and the Academy from Michael Clayton both have as the winner. Frankie went with Susan Sarandon in The Valley of Ella, and Scott went Emily Mortimer in Lars and the Real Girl. So we will have a 3-woman race for this category. I'm feeling pretty good that I'm going to have the vote with Tilda, but I like the 2 that you brought there. So
yeah,
we'll see how hard you campaign online.
Yeah, I'll try and push.
All right, let's jump over to the supporting actor side now. This is if supporting actress was a deep field, this one's crazy. Okay,
yeah, this is dumb.
I had to double space my notes here because I had so many gentlemen. There's a lot of guys to talk about here. Okay, the actual 2007 nominees though by the Academy that year were Casey Affleck for The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. God damn you, Andrew Dominic, for making such a long title of a movie. Philip Seymour Hoffman for Charlie Wilson's War. Hal Holbrook for Into the Wild. Tom Wilkinson for Michael Clayton. And the Oscar went to Javier Bardem for his iconic role in No Country for Old Men. Okay, Frankie, it's going to be your turn to start us off on this one.
Oh, geez. All right. Well, obviously, I nominated Javier Bardem. Let's calm down, everyone. He's up there. I also nominated Paul Dano from There Will Be Blood. I don't care what Tarantino says.
I knew it was coming.
I did a great job. Okay? Calm down. I had Albert Finney for Before the Devil Knows You're Dead. I also had Joe Anderson from Across the Universe. I feel like that movie in particular, it focuses a lot on the romance, which is, it's decent, but I feel like the real heart of the movie is Joe Anderson's character, the brother and the best friend trying to get through his experience in war and coming back and reacclimating, and he's really the heart of the movie, in my opinion. And my last slot, this is the one where I feel like I'm going to get the most shit. But, people are going to be like, you could have nominated Tommy Lee Jones for No Country. You could have nominated Philip Seymour Hoffman, but you nominated this. I don't care. Okay? My last slot, I nominated Tim Meadows from Walk Hard. Because listen, guys, okay, Tim Meadows is and was and will always be in perpetuity an underrated comedic genius. Every time that man was on screen in this movie, I hysterically laughed. His timing, his delivery, it's impeccable. And people should recognize that more in general and also in the Oscars. So I put it in there. Judge me if you want. I don't care. But my winner, ultimately, please, of course, Scott, is Javier Bardem from No Country for Old Men. He is chilling and terrifying, and for that haircut alone, he deserves the statue, and that's my pick.
Okay. Did you have any honorable mentions as well that were just like on the outside looking in?
I had Tommy Lee Jones for sure in there, because that speech at the end blows my hair all the way back, and then Philip Seymour Hoffman, but I feel like he suffers because the movie around him kind of blows. But I do use the sick at sea line a lot. I like that speech that he has. But yeah.
All right, we got our first Quentin Tarantino dunk with the Paul Dano shout out there. This could not have timed out better with him throwing this thing in the news. I was like, thank you, Quentin, for giving us some fodder.
Quentin, what are you doing?
Also, was that your first time seeing Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, or had you already seen it prior?
Yeah, and I watched it a few times because I really did like it. I feel like the editing is kind of crazy, but other than that, I feel like the performances are like really, really good. So it carries you through.
Yeah, I mean, everyone talks about Ethan and Philip Seymour Hoffman in that, but Albert Finney crushes it in his performance as well. Love that. Okay, Javier Bardem, No Country for Old Men on the board. Scott, we'll go over to you now and see if you keep the trend going.
Okay, so my honorable mentions, I have Alan Tudyk from Death at the Funeral. Hilarious performance. Honestly, I was rolling every time he was on the screen for that movie. And also, for another one, Timothy Dalton from Hot Fuzz.
Yes.
Again, James Bond being a villain is amazing.
Oh, God.
So, my first nomination was Philip Seymour Hoffman for Charlie Wilson's War. The only reason to watch that movie is Philip Seymour Hoffman. My next nomination is Tim Meadows from Walk Hard.
Oh my God, no way.
Amazing.
That's so funny. Oh, now I'm mad. I should have made him win.
I love Tim Meadows. He is.
Oh, I'm so happy.
He is so funny in this role, and for it to poke fun at music biopics, he does an amazing job with that. My next nomination goes to Nick Frost, also from Hot Fuzz. He's one of the few people that actually has a full arc in the movie, but he's clearly the supporting character. But he's great. He's great in everything he does, and it's just, I love him so much. Number 2 is a little bit of my category manipulation here. I have Russell Crowe from 3:10 to Yuma. I love this performance. I love Russell Crowe. He's just unbelievable in everything he does. And this role, while being slightly not as big as Gladiator or some of the other things he's done, is still an amazing role. And my winner is Javier Bardem for No Country for Old Men.
Thank God.
How do you... The man is the encapsulation of an unstoppable force in this movie. He's just... He's still intimidating, and you're scared of him. He's a monster. He's a monster of a person. And you're like, you can't stop him. And Javier Bardem just portrays it so well.
I love that you waited to save him till the last one, because I was like, surely Scott's got this. He's got the sanity to put him there, but it would be amazing if you didn't and you had Tim Meadows in and not Javier Bardem. That would have just been beautiful. No, that's great. 2 comedic performances in there with Frost and Meadows.
Nominated Tim Meadows. It's like we're married or something. They're like, no, we are alike in some way.
You share one brain.
She has it.
Don't say that yet.
All right. Let's see if I say Javier Bardem, he's automatically in. We don't even have to go to a vote, so we'll see what happens. Okay. So honorable mentions. Again, I've got so many guys I could talk about, but I'll try to limit it. So Zodiac has a ridiculous number of characters, and it was kind of hard to pick out someone from Zodiac that stood out in the supporting side of things. There were a number of them. John Carroll Lynch is barely in that movie, and yet he just shines the whole time he's on screen. He's not in my honorable mentions even because it's such a deep year. Robert Downey Jr., though, as Paul Avery in Zodiac's really good. Honorable mention. This was right at the moment he was about to become Robert Downey Jr., and so he's great in it. Tom Wilkinson as Arthur Edens and Michael Clayton is very, very strong. Just it's a tough year. And then like you said, Tommy Lee Jones as Ed Tom Bell in No Country for Old Men is ridiculously good in that movie. He's got this great dry humor to his character. Obviously the Coens writing is on point, and so it's you could put those words in probably anyone's mouth and it's going to sound really, really good. But I think Tommy Lee Jones just embodies that character and even still, he's my number 6. So I'm really happy with my 5. So here are my nominations I've got in supporting actor. So first off, I've got Casey Affleck as that coward Robert Ford in the assassination of Jesse James. I'm seeing the winces from Scott, and that's okay. I will defend that pick. So what I love is that he plays this character so well in terms of he is this little stinker that's like trying to like weasel his way in. And I think what makes that performance for me is after he does the deed and does the assassination, and then he has to like go on that tour of like parading around the country. He has to like get up on stage all the time, and you can see all of the emotions that he's going through and dealing with the guilt and he's thinking he's going to be famous and he doesn't quite. There's a lot to that performance to me beyond just the assassination. So he's in my 5. Tom Hardy in a movie that I would be surprised if either of the two of you watched. It's called Stuart: A Life Backwards, and it's a really small film. It's a UK film, and he plays this real life person named Stuart who was a homeless person and was like trying to make it by. And it's way before Tom Hardy ever became famous, and he is electric. If you think you like Tom Hardy, find Stuart: A Life Backwards. Check it out. It's remarkable. Third nomination. This is my wild card. I'm glad I'm not the only one that picked a crazy comedic performance, so thank you for making sure I'm not the only one. I'm going to go Christopher Mintz-Plasse as Fogel/McLovin in Superbad. Yes, I did.
That's so funny.
The reason why I did is there's this great video, and it's come out now that like the reason he got cast is because he pissed Jonah Hill off so much in the casting process and in the auditions that they were like, we have to put him in the movie because he truly does annoy Jonah Hill to no end, and he makes that movie. McLovin is has lived on forever. Fourth nominee, Javier Bardem as Anton Chigurh in No Country. What can you say? You two have said it. Fifth nominee is going to be Paul Dano as Paul and Eli Sunday in There Will Be Blood. Listen, I love you, Quentin. You make great movies. Some of my favorite movies of all time. You are out of your damn mind thinking that Paul Dano's even like a bad actor, let alone the weakest actor in SAG is the...
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
I've been salty about this for a week, and so I'm glad I kind of like get to get it off my chest. Paul Dano's remarkable. This isn't even my favorite Paul Dano performance, and he's really, really good.
Yeah.
No.
Nuts.
Yeah, Paul Dano.
Sunshine.
Paul Dano's great.
Yeah, Prisoners, the new Batman movie, like, yeah, he's
What was the
excellent.
one with Radcliffe where he was a dead body?
Swiss Army Man.
Yeah, holy cow. Like,
Incredible.
That was great.
Yes, Paul Dano is great. We're going to find out, like, probably by the time this episode goes up, that he, like, turned down a Tarantino movie or something,
Yeah,
and there's this... it's a weird beef. It makes no sense. But and Tarantino throws Matthew Lillard under the bus, too. It's like, what are you doing, man? Like, take it easy on people. All right.
Matthew Lillard's a treasure.
I love Matthew Lillard.
Yes. Crazy. All right. So Dano's in there. He's great playing the dual role. But I think like most people, this was the first time I ever saw this person on screen. And holy freaking cow. Javier Bardem as Anton Chigurh, No Country for Old Men. What can you say? Right from the get-go, it's not the very first scene he's in, but it's one of the first ones when he's handcuffed in the distance, and then he comes up on the cop, and like that's effectively like your introduction to this character more or less. And it's just everything he does that whole movie is, I can't picture anyone else doing that role. It's sort of like Christoph Waltz in Inglourious Bastards, where I'm like, it's a one of one. Nobody else can do that. I don't think there's anyone else. And to take a man that good looking, Javier Bardem is so attractive, and to put him in that crazy wig and make him look fugly is unbelievable.
Yeah. Holy cow.
There was never a doubt. I don't think either of the two of you were ever going to come off of Javier Bardem deserving this win. I mean, I think I could probably make a pretty compelling case that this is like a top 3 or 5 supporting actor win of all time. It's that good. Yeah. And I don't want to spoil the things too much, but this particular pocket of time, 2007, 2008, 2009, I think is Bardem, Ledger, Christoph Waltz winning in this category 3 consecutive years. That's a crazy run.
Crazy villains,
Yeah.
Yeah. So Javier Bardem's my pick. I mean, what can you say? He's a genius in that role. So Javier Bardem, welcome to the Revisionist Almanac. You are an automatic winner. This was the one I think we all thought was probably getting sealed into the books.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's 2 categories down. You ready to move over to the actress category now?
Indeed.
Okay. This one I think is going to be a lot more open. I'm just going to speculate. Okay. The nominees in 2007 were Julie Christie for Away From Her, Cate Blanchett for Elizabeth, The Golden Age, Elliot Page for Juno, Laura Linney for The Savages, and the winner that evening was Marion Cotillard for La Vie en Rose. Now, Cotillard became the 5th person to win an acting Oscar for a non-English performance, and it was the 2nd time in this category after Sophia Loren for Two Women in 1961, and the first to win for a foreign language performance. With nominations in 2 categories, Cate Blanchett became the 11th performer to receive 2 acting nominations in the same year, as well as being the 5th performer overall to be nominated for portraying the same character in 2 different films. So quite a bit of history around this particular year in this category. Scott, you get to start us off with Best Actress.
Okay. So my honorable mention is just for me. It's for nobody else. Drew Barrymore, music and lyrics.
Oh, God. All right.
Honorable mention.
All right, man.
I love music and lyrics. I've watched that movie hundreds of times. I love that movie, and so I just had to mention her here. Unfortunately, she's not going to get nominated. So number 5, I have Laura Linney from Savages. I think it's a very good performance. I think the back and forth she has is just unbelievable. And yeah, you believe like she's trying to do good by her father by putting him in this nursing home, and everything just seems to go wrong. Number 4, I have Marion Cotillard from La Vie en Rose. It's just another musical biopic. It's a good performance, but it's just another musical biopic. Nothing special. Number 3, I have Keira Knightley from Atonement, mainly to appease my wife.
I was going to say, you put Keira Knightley in? Shocked.
She's the best part of an okay movie. And don't get me started on Saoirse Ronan and that whole thing. Awful.
Screaming at the TV, Andrew. Screaming at the TV.
Yes.
At the end of the movie.
Number 2, Manuela Velasco from Rec. Rec is a found footage horror movie from Spain. What she does in a role that is very tough to do because the camera is following her as a TV reporter, the fear and everything she does is just so great. And she's the star of the movie, and she leads us through this basically apartment complex as zombies are coming to life, and it's just great. It's so much better. The original Spanish version, again, is so much better than the American version. Go watch the Spanish version. And then, of course, my winner is Elliot Page from Juno. What can you say about Elliot Page's performance? It's funny. It's hysterical. It's heartfelt. Everything about what Elliot Page does on the screen is amazing. And I can't say anything else but being like, yeah, it's wonderful to watch, even to today.
Yeah, and I mean, it's still defined Elliot for when people think of Elliot Page, Juno's it's just synonymous with the person, the character and the person have sort of stuck together for all these years. Yeah, how do you possibly argue with that? Okay, Rec. I did not think Rec was going to be coming up at all. That movie rocks. It might be my favorite found footage film if I was really pressed. I think it's that good.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. Okay. Okay. Let's unpack for a second, Scott, really quickly. Atonement. Okay.
Please, because I will never get to it.
So
why are you so mad at Atonement, Scott? He was vibing, Andrew. He was vibing with the movie for like most of it, and I'm like, you know what? Because he hated Pride and Prejudice. We watched Pride and Prejudice for our show, and he hated it. And I was like, well, and he was like, oh, we gotta watch Atonement. It's gonna be like Pride and Prejudice. I'm like, no, you might actually like this one because it's got like a little twist. It's got like drama and stuff, And then we got to the twist, which we won't spoil. We got to the twist, and he's screaming. Go ahead, tell the man why you're mad at the movie.
Just the whole thing about like the twist ending and like, oh, I hate when we have a character that like has a whole thing where like, oh, they wrote this whole thing about them and like, oh, we're supposed to forgive them. Like we're supposed to forgive them as an audience. And I can't do it. I can't do it. I have the same thing. We were just on another show talking about Pretty in Pink.
Oh, God. It all comes back to Ducky, man.
I hate Ducky.
We're getting off topic.
But even still, like, when a character is awful for all the movie, and then you're supposed to be like, oh, no, they did that good thing at the end. We're supposed to like them now. We're supposed to forgive them.
No. Like that lady?
And it's just like,
so none of it was real. He's yelling. None of it was real. What was the point of the movie? I'm like, okay.
It was just to satisfy Saoirse Ronan's character's guilt.
Oh, jeez.
And
yeah, that's why the book and the movie are called Atonement.
That's great. She's not
there. For our sins.
There is no atonement.
Oh my God.
She became a billionaire. There's no atonement.
We don't know she's a billionaire.
She's a famous book author. She's
not the 1%. Relax.
she's higher than middle class. I'll give you that.
So Scott, if you had to watch Atonement again or Pride and Prejudice again, which one would you pick?
Excellent question. Actually, see, this is why you're the host. What would you watch?
And the bullet's not an option?
Stop.
No.
You were vibing with it. You were vibing with Atonement. Don't lie to the man. He hated Pride and Prejudice from the start to finish.
Yeah, I do hate Mr. Darcy more.
He's like, this guy's attractive. I'm like, just some people.
The Atonement, I guess Atonement. As much as I hated Saoirse Ronan's character throughout the movie, Atonement is probably the better movie, as much as the ending infuriated me.
So, are you? I assume, Frankie, you're a Jane Austen fan.
I
or
am.
Is it just Pride and Prejudice?
No, I like Pride and Prejudice a lot.
Okay.
But yeah, I like Jane Austen in general.
Are you going to drag Scott to Sense and Sensibility next year?
Oh no, that's too much.
Okay.
No. Pride and Prejudice, I made him watch Pride and Prejudice, because I knew what was going to happen, Andrew. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get views here, you know what I mean? I know he's going to be mad, and the people like it when Scott gets pissed off.
It's
and
true.
I was like, please go to shoot the flick and listen to our Pride and Prejudice review. But yeah, I mean, I know what gets the headphones on with these people, you know what I mean?
I dig it. Okay, so Scott he has exercised his atonement demons. He has atoned for that movie. It's gonna go over to me now, and we'll let Frankie finish off in the lead actress. So we got Elliot Page from Juno on the board. Okay, this was not as deep as supporting actress, unfortunately for me. Lead actress was a little thin, but I got a couple of honorable mentions. Cate Blanchett is very, very good in Queen Elizabeth and Elizabeth the Golden Age. Again, if you want to watch it, watch the 1998 version, the movie that comes before this sequel. It's much superior. And then another movie that was the first time I saw it, Anna Maria Marinsa, who plays Attila in the film 4 months, 3 weeks, 2 days. Heavy film about a woman going through pregnancy and what to do with her situation, and that woman who plays that role is incredible. Again, that's not a movie for everyone, but it definitely left an impression on me, just on the outside looking in. The 5 that I have, though, I've got Keira Knightley as Cecilia in Atonement. Second time I've nominated her. First time was for Pride and Prejudice in 2005. I think Keira Knightley is wonderful. Also, that green dress is like a top tier
Oh my
cinematic costume.
Let's go.
So good. Like, I would wear that dress if I could. Okay.
Me too.
All right. My second nominee is going to go to Julie Christie as Fiona in the film Away From Her. Second consecutive time I've nominated her. I'm just coming off the heels of 1973, where I nominated her for Don't Look Now. Very different movies over the span of 30 plus years. She's remarkable. Third nominee, Elliot Page as Juno. In Juno, just like Scott said, Elliot is incredible. What more can you say? That is the role that I think defines him still to this day. Fourth nominee is Marion Cotillard as Edith in La Vie en Rose. Third time I've nominated Cotillard, Inception, and 2 Days, One Night previous. I think she's really, really good in this movie. I don't know if it's an all-time great win, and I'll get to that in a second. And then my fifth nominee is Laura Linney as Wendy Savage in The Savages. She's great in that movie. Laura Linney's great in everything, by the way. She's already won on this show in a revision for 1998 in The Truman Show, which I think was a deserving win there. Okay, I had to go back and rewatch a movie last week specifically to like solidify this category, because there was one performance that I thought was my favorite and I wanted to go back and watch it again. And it kind of surprised me because I never would have picked it before I got to the prep process, and I'm glad I had the chance to. And it's going to be Julie Christie in the film Away From Her. And it's a really subtle performance, and oftentimes the Oscars like to give the big A acting awards, which I think Marion Cotillard's La Vie en Rose is much more of a big performance. She's obviously playing a big personality, and there's a lot to that. It's very showy. Julie Christie in Away From Her, going through what she's going through, where she's losing her mind, losing her memory, and losing connection to her partner, that movie just affected me in a way that I wasn't prepared for. And when I was like, did it actually affect me so deeply? So I had to go watch it again. Yes, it did. The final scene when her husband has to make a specific decision as well, I don't know. It hit me in the right kind of way. And I thought Julie Christie deserved her flowers a little bit, especially, again, coming off 1973. I love what she does in Don't Look Now. And to see what she did late in her career, just remarkable. It's understated, it's subtle, it's quiet. I think it's a beautiful performance. I know I'm not going to win. There's no way Julie Christie's getting the vote because nobody's seen the film Away From Her. But I hope this is a recommendation to a listener, to a watcher. Check out that film. She's great in it. All right, Frankie, it's over to you to finish off the category.
Alrighty. So as far as honorable mentions go, I did have Laura Linney in there for Savages. I liked that movie in general. It just didn't break the top 5 for me. Same thing with Cate Blanchett. I think, like Andrew was saying, I watched both of the movies in preparation for this, the 98, and just because I wanted all of the context. And the first one is better. I don't think the second one's bad or anything. I just think it's not really, it's like, whatever. And then I'll say this about Julie Christie and Away From Her. I wanted to rewatch it again. I didn't get a chance to, because when I watched it for the first time, I had mixed feelings about it. Not about her performance. I think subtle is actually the perfect word for her performance. But I don't know. I think for me, it felt kind of emotionally, sometimes I was invested emotionally, sometimes I just wasn't connecting. And I feel like that's probably intentional to some aspect because of the subject matter, like having Alzheimer's and having that disconnection from your life and from the people you love. So I don't know. It probably was due for a rewatch for me, but I couldn't get there fully in the top 5 for her. But I did think her performance was the best part of the movie. But my top 5 ended up being Marion Cotillard for La Vie en Rose, Charlize Theron for Valley Villa, Keira Knightley for Atonement. This is on the edge. I feel like this one could go either way. Helena Bonham Carter for Sweeney Todd. I feel like you could easily put it in supporting, as Scott did. I just feel like it it is definitely a, I don't know, it could go either way, but I really enjoyed her, and I think her, she's not the best singer in the universe, but I think her sort of compelling villain performance, she's evil, but you also kind of feel bad for her in a lot of ways, and I found that really compelling. But she ended up being my number two, and my number one, my pick, was Elliot Page for Juno. Again, matching Scotty. I I think Elliot Page takes a character and a movie in general that is very, like, on paper, just a, a comedy. Like, it's got all the early to mid 2000s, like, lingo, and it's, but it still manages to be really timeless in its characters and in the emotions behind it all. And I think she takes a character that could very easily just be seen as, like, this smart ass, and Elliot Page really made it, like, again, just elevated it off the page and brought a vulnerability to Juno. And I just really, again, I was impressed that he took a character that is maybe not one dimensional on paper, but it doesn't have as many layers as Elliot Page brought to it on screen, and it still stands the test of time, I think. So, yeah, I went with Elliot Page.
Yeah, I think Elliot's also got really good, like, it's not like overt or in your face, but Elliot's got really good comedic timing and, like, knows how to,
yeah.
like, really knows how to drop in the right line at the right time or the right glance. Just there's something about, like, the way he looks at a certain moment in Juno that just, like, I don't know, really good comedic timing all the way through that film, but also brings the heart. Like, you feel connected to that character in a really deep way. Cool stuff. So you two aligned, husband and wife. There we go. Didn't even exchange notes for an entire year, and you still ended up on the same.
Oh, that's so funny.
All right, so we got three options when we get to Best Actress. You got Marion Cotillard for La Vie en Rose, the Academy's pick. You've got my pick. I got Julie Christie and Away From Her. And then Scott and Frankie together have sided with Elliot Page in Juno. Good stuff. I think Elliot's got a good shot to win in that one because, again, nobody's going to watch Away From Her. But do. All right. Best Actor. This is a big one here. Okay. This could get contentious. We'll find out. All right.
I know. This one I was actually scared. Okay. Oh boy.
All right. So the actual nominees and winner in 2007 in Best Actor were Viggo Mortensen for Eastern Promises, Tommy Lee Jones for In the Valley of Elah, George Clooney for Michael Clayton, Johnny Depp for Sweeney Todd, and the man of the hour was, of course, Daniel Day-Lewis for There Will Be Blood. He became the 8th person to win the Best Actor twice at the time. It's going to be back to me to start things off, and then we will go to the two of you. Just like supporting actors, this field is stacked, top to bottom. Honorable mentions. Okay. Josh Brolin as Llewellyn Moss in No Country for Old Men. If you want to hear us talk about No Country even more than we already will, please go check out my guest spot on Shoot the Flick from early January 2025. We had a great time. Josh Brolin, fantastic in that movie, but he's not in my 5. Brad Pitt is Jesse James in The Assassination of Jesse James. I think he really understands that character in a way where he's intimidating, but he's also got, like, kind of a soulful nature to him at the time. I just think Brad Pitt plays that role really, really well. Even though I don't love this movie, like we've already talked about, Emile Hirsch in Into the Wild he's really good at making him not really like him. And I think that's intentional, but I was not rooting for that character, and I think that was kind of what he was going for. So he's in my honorable mentions. And finally, Denzel as Frank Lucas in American Gangster, I think is really good, but there's a number of other Denzel performances that are better. The 5, though, that I've got. James McAvoy as Robbie Turner in Atonement is excellent. Sorry, Scott. I love James McAvoy. I love Atonement. Second nominee is Philip Seymour Hoffman as Andrew Hansen in Before the Devil Knows You're Dead. God dang, he is good in that movie. Like, ridiculously good in that movie. There's also this great anecdote. Yeah, Ethan Hawke's been making the rounds doing interviews right now for some movies he's got out. And he talked about Sidney Lumet on the making of that film. And every day, Ethan Hawke would show up on set and Sidney Lumet would say, see how good Philip Seymour Hoffman's doing? And he would like goad him every single day. And it was like driving Ethan Hawke nuts. And he's like, God damn it. Like, tell me how good I am. And then they get to like the red carpet at the premiere and he goes up to Philip Seymour Hoffman. And he's like, hey, he's like, I'm tired of hearing about you. Thank God that's done. And Philip Seymour Hoffman goes, oh my God, he was doing the exact same thing to me, to you. And it really works because those two brother characters are like oil and vinegar and they're bouncing off each other. And there's a real contentious relationship that I think Sidney Lumet helped foster. But Philip Seymour Hoffman, he might be my favorite actor of all time. I'm pretty close to putting him in that conversation. So he's in my nominees. But my actual probably favorite actor of all time is Ryan Gosling as Lars Lindstrom, Lars and the Real Girl. This is the 6th time I've nominated Ryan Gosling for one of these Oscars. He's so good in Lars and the Real Girl. If you think you know Ryan Gosling and you've seen like his bigger, more notable performances, check out Lars and the Real Girl because he strips away all the vanity of who Ryan Gosling is and like his charisma and his persona, and he really inhabits this character in a wonderful, refreshing way and brings a lot of depth and empathy to that character. George Clooney as Michael Clayton is getting a nomination, and then Daniel Day-Lewis as Daniel Plainview in There Will Be Blood is my 5th. All right. I'm going to be a little bit perturbed, quite frankly, if we don't all agree on Daniel Day-Lewis as the best actor of 2007. And I'm already preparing for it in my seat.
Scott's not looking at you, Andrew.
How dare anyone make a case against the greatest acting performance, the single greatest acting performance of the 21st century, and possibly the greatest acting performance I've ever seen in my life? Daniel Day-Lewis, if you've ever seen Daniel Day-Lewis in an interview, he is nothing like Daniel Plainview, and this character is so three-dimensional. I rewatched this movie again the other day. I don't know how he got inside the skin of this character in such a way, and I also understand that we now live in this world where everyone wants to like trash method acting because dipshits like Jared Leto have like taken it to this ridiculous depth where they're like sending dead rats to people. And Daniel Day-Lewis has a process, and he doesn't go out of his way to sort of like glamorize it. He just does it, and then other people like sort of have mythicized what he does, but he's not the one like at the forefront talking about it. And I actually think every time I hear another actor talk about working with him or a director, they love that he shows up and is like fully already in position to like be molded however they need him. He is so good in There Will Be Blood. So Scott, good luck trying to argue against me if you're going to go in that direction, but I am ready for it.
What? Okay, I'm so scared.
All right, but who knows? Maybe Frankie will also go against me because Frankie's up next now for Best Actor.
Oh, it's me. Okay, cool. So, my honorable mentions. I did have John C. Reilly floating around in there for Walk Hard. I feel like that would have been so funny, but he didn't get there. It is a really stacked category. I feel like this was the first one for me that got filled up like right away, and I was like, "Yep, this is my 5. Okay, I'm not touching it." But I did also have Viggo Mortensen in my honorable mentions. I like Eastern Promises. I just liked other movies a lot more, but I do generally just really enjoy Viggo Mortensen in pretty much anything he's in. I haven't seen Lord of the Rings. I fell asleep when I tried to watch the first one. See, I'm trying to help you here. They can hate me too.
No, that's fine.
But other than that, like, I just love Viggo in general, but he just didn't crack the top 5 for me. Same thing with Denzel. I feel like in American Gangster, I feel like he's almost at a disadvantage because he's so good at everything, and he's obviously, he's played gangsters before, he's played, hard asses before, so he kind of fell through the cracks, I guess, in this one. But my top 5 are Philip Seymour Hoffman for Before the Devil Knows You're Dead. I loved I loved the movie in general a lot more than I maybe thought I was going to, but I really loved his performance. I feel like he balances this like crazy scheming guy, and then but also the reasons why he's doing what he's doing, as misguided as it is, and you sympathize with him. I mean, that scene in the car with Marissa Tomei where he's just sobbing, and oh my god, like, he's just so fucking good. I also have Ryan Gosling for Lars and the Real Girl. Again, I mean, everything you said, Andrew, and more. I love Ryan Gosling in pretty much anything he's been in. But yeah, Lars and the Real Girl is definitely like one that's not talked about enough. Let's see. I have Johnny Depp for Sweeney Todd. I feel like even more so than Helena Bonham Carter, he makes the movie in a big bad way. And again, he's not like, a singer extraordinaire, but he doesn't really have to be, weirdly, in a musical such as this. Like, he just embodies that Tim Burton darkness in a way that only Johnny Depp can. And obviously when you're doing a musical in general, it's really taxing, and especially if you're not a singer. But he did great in that. I love that movie so much. And then I got James McAvoy, of course, for Atonement. I love that movie. I think his performance is the best in the whole movie. It's really his story and his plight that you're following the most, and he kills it. And then of course, Andrew, because I'm not a crazy person, I have Daniel Day-Lewis, and he is my winner for There Will Be Blood. I listen to kind of defend Scott in the hell that is about to rain upon him.
Don't need any defense.
It took, because I had never seen There Will Be Blood before doing this prep. I think it took me longer, weirdly, to get into There Will Be Blood than it did No Country for Old Men. But once I was in it, and I think 90 to 100% of that has to do with Daniel Day-Lewis. I think his character is so layered, and he's so bad, but it's so freaking good, and you're just very entranced with whatever the hell he's doing. Yeah, I mean, he makes the movie. That goes without saying. Whether you think, because this is the year of, right, No Country versus There Will Be Blood. That we all knew that going into this, that is what this was going to be. So whether you think one is better than the other, you can't deny that Daniel Day-Lewis makes There Will Be Blood. And I think that goes without saying for most people, but for most people, Scott, you poor sweet thing. But yes, Daniel Day-Lewis is my winner. I'm happy to say that.
Here we go now, folks.
I'm so scared.
I have no idea what you're actually going to say right now.
Like, I'm actually, guys, I know I joked and said, "Oh, I'm so scared." I'm actually scared now. What are you gonna say?
I'm more nervous for whatever gentleman you may put up, because the vote is gonna not.
He's gonna get ruined in this. You're about to ruin a man's career, Scott.
Thank you.
Do your worst, sir.
So it was tough. My last spot on my nominations, I've been going back and forth for like the last spot, but I have so my just missing out is John C. Reilly from Walk Hard. I love the performance. It's so funny. It's great, and I feel like John C. Reilly does not get enough credit that he deserves, just in general. So my number 5 is Ryan Gosling from Lars and the Real Girl. Andrew and Frankie have said everything you need to know about it. It's an amazing movie. Go watch it. My number 4 is Daniel Day-Lewis from There Will Be Blood.
4?
4.
Are you crazy? Oh my god. Okay.
I think, again, I said it's a great performance.
Is this ranked? This list is ranked?
I think I blacked out for a second.
You guys. He knows not what he does.
It's fine.
I'm kidding.
Never been I think
that's fine.
It's fine. I think it's a great performance. I honestly do think I need to watch the movie again.
Yes, I would say that.
I only watched it the one time, It was my first time watching it. I think if I watch it again, I would like it more and more. But for watching it this first time, I did not really get into the movie. And I just think it's a very good performance. So, again, there were a lot of movies to watch. My number 3 is Don Cheadle from Talk to Me. I love this movie.
Okay.
I thought Don Cheadle was amazing. And I don't feel like we get this Don Cheadle enough. He should be the star more often. Because this was an unbelievable performance. From every little thing he did in this movie was so good. And like I'm so glad I actually took the time to watch it last night. Because it was amazing. Number 2, I have Thomas Jane from The Mist.
Oh.
So, I love The Mist. I remember Andrew when he first posted, 2007, The Mist. Who still likes this movie? I love this movie. I think Thomas Jane's performance is underrated. I think he's an underrated actor in general. And I think that last scene sticks so hard in my memory to be like, he has to basically be like, I have to kill all of you and sacrifice myself to the monsters. Like, it's heartbreaking. And then to see the army roll by 5 seconds later, basically. Oh, God, it's so good. And my winner...
Oh, my God.
Is Johnny Depp from Sweeney Todd.
Oh, shit.
I think Johnny Depp's Sweeney Todd performance is arguably one of his best performances he's ever done in his entire career. I think for a guy who's had such an extended career from like things like Blow to Pirates of the Caribbean, Sweeney Todd is such an undertaking that he just is so amazing in the movie. You feel everything and the revenge plot and all of it, and he's just, even though he can't sing like Frankie said, I don't care.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter. Like, he emotes so well and everything is so amazing to the point where at the end where he's realizes he's killed his wife and he sticks his neck up.
Spoilers.
To get... It's a 2007 movie.
I'm joking.
But he sticks his neck up to be killed because it's over. He knows it's over. And you're like... It's so heartbreaking in so many ways. And this movie does not work without Johnny Depp. At all. And I think that is why I picked Johnny Depp to win the Best Actor of 2007.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there it is.
I mean, I'll say this for you. I think you're gonna lose, but I do think I'm not as mad as I thought it was gonna be, and I think Johnny Depp will get votes. Not enough votes, but he'll get votes.
This is the moment where the Woody Harrelson quote comes in. You realize how crazy you sound. No, it's a good performance. I enjoy Johnny Depp's performance in Sweeney Todd. I don't have any hate against that. By the way, really quickly on John C. Reilly, since you both mentioned him, I believe I saw news that he's going to be touring in the next year, doing like the Walk Hard tour. Would you two go? I assume to go see it.
I would go for sure.
100%.
That'd be so fun.
Yeah. Speaking of another married couple that I had on the show, Betsy Gorham over at Never Seen It, she just posted her Spotify Wrapped the other day and sent me that she's in the top like 0.03% of Walk Hard listeners on Spotify.
Yeah, I saw that.
So
that was
yeah. So you got some shared friends on the Walk Hard side there. Okay, Daniel Day-Lewis, There Will Be Blood, The Academy, myself, Frankie on the side of sanity, and then Scott over on the side.
Scott is on the side of demons. He loves the hate though.
To all the Revisionist Almanac fans, Bring it
Oh,
on.
okay, don't say that. Listen to our show, Scott.
You'll get plenty of controversial takes just like this over at Shoot the Flick.
I mean, for real, yeah.
All right, Johnny Depp and Daniel Day. That's going to be a fun one. Okay.
That is really fun, actually.
That should be a good battle. I'll have fun seeing how the final percentages shake out. All right, best director
I
now.
didn't know where that was going. Guys, we were all on a roller coaster together, and we survived.
Okay, so in 2007, the 5 directors nominated that year were Julian Schnabel for The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, Jason Reitman for Juno, Tony Gilroy for Michael Clayton, Paul Thomas Anderson for There Will Be Blood, and the top honor went to the Coen brothers for their work on No Country for Old Men. Now, the Coens became the second pair of directors to win the award for the same film, following Jerome Robbins and Robert Wise, who were the first for West Side Story in 1961. Okay, Frankie, we're going to have you start us off in director.
Okie doke. So, I do have a couple honorable mentions. I did want to throw in Edgar Wright, because we love Edgar Wright, because we're not completely insane. I think of the Cornetto trilogy, like, Shaun of the Dead is obviously superior. Yeah. Maybe not obviously. Maybe that's a hotter take than I think. But I think Shaun of the Dead is, like, top tier. But Hot Fuzz is still very, very good. And then I did want to throw Julie Taymor into the ring for Across the Universe. I feel like even though, listen, the movie's got problems, and I'm a big fan of it. I'm not saying it's a guilty pleasure for me either. But, it's not a perfect movie. However, I do think the vibes that are set up, the visuals, it's, I really, really like it a lot. And it deserves some recognition. But as far as directors, my top 5 are Brad Bird for Ratatouille. I have, Ratatouille, I mean, we haven't even talked about it yet, so let me, give a little spiel. I didn't really grow up on Ratatouille. It took me, I feel like for me it was an acquired taste, no pun intended, but...
That's a good one. That's a really good one right there.
Thank you so much, Andrew. But I still wouldn't maybe even say it's like the strongest Pixar movie in the bunch, but I do think that it takes a concept that is, it's basically about wanting to create and wanting to add something beautiful into the world, and it puts it in amongst rats in Paris, like who thinks of that kind of thing, but it works so well, and the animation is gorgeous, the score, everything just works so well with the movie, and it all comes together to make this perfect little nugget. So I had to throw that in there. I also have Tim Burton for Sweeney. In his Tim Burton way, he creates his own world, and we're all just living in it for a couple hours, and yeah. I mean, Scott kind of talked about it with his Johnny Depp spiel, But I just love directors and creators in general that really have their own style and just do their own thing. And so Tim Burton's definitely in there. I have Joe Wright for Atonement. We've talked about Atonement enough. But yeah, I love Atonement, okay? Love it. And then, okay, so let's get to the 2 main characters that we're talking about here. So the top 2 are obviously There Will Be Blood and No Country for Old Men with the Coen brothers. PTA. Listen, PTA is like a mixed bag for me. Some movies I really like, some movies are like eh. But I think he did a great job with this movie. I don't think that's to be denied. However, I do think that the Coen brothers have the edge, because they literally every element of that movie is of equal power, and nothing, if one little iota of anything is off, it's not the same movie. Like the cinematography, the direction itself, the screenplay, the performances, everything works so perfectly in sync. And I don't know how the hell that even comes together, but it did. It really is kind of a miracle of a movie. And when we were getting to the end of the road with this process, and I was like, okay, I want to watch the two big ones again, being No Country and There Will Be Blood. I was cool with watching both of them, but I was like jonesing to watch No Country for Old Men. And I feel like that kind of did it for me. So I ended up picking the Coen brothers as my winners for director.
Okay. Scott, over to you now.
Okay, so honorable mentions. I have James Mangold from Pretend to Yuma. I love that movie. I think it's a great Western. Honestly, I feel like this was kind of the year of like the Western / pseudo-Western. I also have James Kasdan from Walk Hard as another. Again, we've talked about the movie a lot this episode. It's a great movie. So my number 5 is, I'm gonna butcher this, Jaume Balaguerro and Paco Plaza from Rec. Again, Rec is an unbelievable found footage movie. It really is the movie that when you talk about found footage, that's the movie you should watch over anything else. And
Amen.
And these two made that movie what it is. My number 4 is Craig Gillespie from Lars and the Real Girl. Thank you. We've talked about that movie a ton this episode. It's so sweet. It's so heartfelt. Go watch it. My number 3 is Jason Reitman for Juno. I think, again, we've talked about Juno a ton. It's an amazing movie. And I think Jason Reitman is just another person that does an amazing job. My number 2 is Edgar Wright for Hot Fuzz. Yes, is Shaun of the Dead better? Yes. Hot Fuzz, Edgar Wright does such a good job with like little things, and the editing is still on point. Everything he does and all the little things that go throughout the movie has Edgar Wright's fingerprints all over the movie. You know when you watch Hot Fuzz, you are watching an Edgar Wright movie from start to finish, and it is amazing. But my number 1, it's their magnum opus. It is the greatest movie of this year. The Coen brothers, No Country for Old Men. What else can you say? This movie is amazing. I've watched this movie 5 or 6 times. I love it more each time I watch it. And yeah.
All right, Coen brothers. Okay, so really quickly, Edgar Wright. I'm definitely on board with. Sean's my favorite, like by a pretty good stretch. But if I had to like objectively pick best, I don't know if I would say Sean's like his best. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Again, I'm going to be doing a whole episode where I'm going to be ranking the filmography. I do miss the days, though. I don't know if either of you have seen The Running Man. I have not yet. But yes. I miss... You have... Okay, I hear it doesn't feel like an Edgar Wright film. And I feel like he's maybe lost his way a little bit. Like, his movies had such a distinction about them.
Yeah.
It felt very much like they were trying to do the book. And...
Yeah, when we talked about... Because we covered the 80s movie, The Running Man, on our show in preparation for that. And we were talking like endlessly about like, oh, it's going to be so great, because we really thought Edgar Wright was going to bring Edgar Wright to the run, and it didn't feel like that, unfortunately. It wasn't terrible or anything. It just wasn't. It didn't have the oomph that we thought it was going to have.
It felt more like it was a Stephen King movie than it was an Edgar Wright movie. Because he wrote it, so like they just. It's funny because the book is so good, and they nerfed it at the end, and it felt weird.
I knew something was going wrong when I had a couple of days off, and it was right when The Running Man had come out, and I had like a window of time to go see a movie, and The Running Man was basically the only thing in theaters, and I opted to like sit on my couch over it, and I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like I usually will jump at an Edgar Wright film anytime I have the chance, and I'm kind of nervous to watch it because I really love Edgar, but I don't know. Yeah, Hot Fuzz freaking rocks every time I go back to it. Gillespie, awesome. Love that pick too. Okay, here are the 5 that I have. Well, first I'll get to my honorable mentions, then I'll get to my 5. Again, I'm clearly the only person who enjoyed this movie, but Andrew Dominic for the assassination of Jesse James. I know that Andrew Dominic has become a hot topic after he made that Marilyn Monroe movie Blonde, which almost everyone universally despises. But I do think that the assassination of Jesse James is a really fascinating film about the idea of like deconstruction of a mythology of person and like the human element of them. And I think that movie's really compelling. So I find myself going back to it quite frequently. I think Andrew Dominic's really good at directing the film. It obviously relies heavily on a Roger Deakins cinematography that's out of this world. Sidney Lumet is also on the outside looking in. He was close. The idea that he went from his feature film debut in 1957, 12 Angry Men, to 2007, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, and he still felt just as like vivacious as a director with this movie. It didn't feel like a movie being made by an older person. It sort of reminded me of like when Martin Scorsese made The Wolf of Wall Street. It felt very alive, and I was just really taken by the fact that this person of this age who'd been through this long of a career was still making something really kind of cutting edge. And then Danny Boyle for Sunshine. Again, just a really clever science fiction film, and I appreciate Danny Boyle's style, his editing, a lot of the choices he makes, but not in my 5. The 5 are Joe Wright for Atonement. I'm with you, Frankie. He does really well with that movie. I had never read the book or like had no idea of the source material, so I was very much along for the ride, and I think he takes you on a really nice ride with that movie. We haven't really mentioned this movie much, but I think what Ben Affleck does directing Gone Baby Gone is really, really good. I think he's very smart in saving sort of the reveal or the big moment or what happens with the mystery of the disappearing child in that film. And I just think well before he got to Argo and winning Best Picture for that movie, I think he showed his chops pretty early. I think Ben Affleck's a great director, and Gone Baby Gone's really strong. Coen Brothers, No Country for Old Men. Third time I've nominated them, Big Lebowski and Fargo being the past ones. What can you say about the Coen Brothers? They are like as good as it gets in terms of directors in our lifetime for sure. Paul Thomas Anderson for There Will Be Blood. Second time I've nominated him, Magnolia being the other. And David Fincher for Zodiac, third nomination for him. I think Zodiac is... I can see why people might think it's boring, and I respect that, but I really appreciate the sort of the methodical pace of that film, and I feel like, again, he's really smart in like showing you what he wants to show you and hiding stuff at times, and so I really appreciate what Fincher does with that movie. This ultimately comes down to the Coens and PTA, as obviously it should. Any other year, any other time, I would be picking the Coen brothers for this moment. We've already given them a revised win, though, for Fargo on a past season, so I feel good that they're already like in the Almanac halls. I think PTA made the American film. And what I mean by that is it captures that period of time incredibly well. But I think it understands like this dark underbelly of American society that has never gone away. There are always people like Daniel Plainview living who are greedy, take-it-alls, want to control everything. There's some obvious parallels to 2025. I don't have to name drop them. We all know who we're talking about. There are some people who all they want is to take and take and take. And I just find that he captured such a unique thing. And then when it actually gets to the craft of the film, the direction of that movie, I just think it's so beautifully put together. It's really smart. He basically starts the movie like a silent film for the first like 5 or 10 minutes, and you're just with Daniel trying to like mine for stuff, and then the oil strikes and everything. And I just think PTA crafts that movie really well. And I just last night rewatched One Battle After Another, which I'm not as high on that movie as some others who are claiming it like best movie of the decade, etc. I think it's a phenomenal movie, but I think There Will Be Blood is better directed than One Battle After Another, and so he's probably it feels like he's gonna win this upcoming Oscars for One Battle After Another. But I feel like we're gonna maybe rewind the clock and be like, I think There Will Be Blood was the better directorial achievement for him, and so that's gonna be my pick. So,
yeah, I would agree with that. Actually, I think One Battle was really good, but I think or is it objectively speaking, yeah, There Will Be Blood is better directed. But yeah, it's definitely winning the Oscar bid. Sorry.
It was fine.
It's done pretty much.
It was fine. It was okay.
Maybe Sinners can pull it out at the last minute, but it's probably going to be one.
Maybe I'm just not a Paul Thomas Anderson person.
Which is fair.
But yeah, I think There Will Be Blood is better than One Battle After the Other. But it was fine.
I will definitely say that One Battle felt a lot more alive on the second watch, which I was kind of holding off watching it a second time because I was like, I don't know if I want to I just want to kind of sit in that first experience for a while. But I was glad I did go back because I was picking up a whole lot of subtle stuff the second time where I wasn't as focused on the plot, and I was like, oh wow, there's a lot of interesting things happening beneath the surface. But I still think There Will Be Blood's better. So we will have, of course, the heavyweight matchup in this category. This vote could really go either way. Coen brothers, who actually won the Academy, Frankie and Scott are both with them for No Country for Old Men. I've got Paul Thomas Anderson for There Will Be Blood in the Best Director. And we will see if we follow suit with Best Picture, and we'll find out here shortly. So the actual nominees in 2007 for Best Picture were Atonement, Juno, Michael Clayton, No Country for Old Men, and There Will Be Blood. No Country for Old Men, of course, grabbed the gold statue. Now, because the Academy only nominated 5 films in 2007, we are adhering to those stupid rules, so we only have 5 of 10. I would much prefer to have 10 spots right now, but we're stuck with the 5. So, Scott, you get to start us off in Best Picture. So, honorable mentions, and then give us your 5.
Okay. Let's have the controversy continue.
Please.
So...
You haven't kicked the hornet's nest enough. Go for it.
Like, really, Scott.
I'll keep kicking it. It's fine.
I want to come back on the show.
Oh, this will be fun. This is going to be fun.
You're coming back for my debate show, which I'm doing in 2026. Don't you worry.
Oh, yes.
I'll gladly come back.
That's where Scott eats.
So, just missing out on the 5. Walk Hard. Hot Fuzz, and just missing out at number 6, There Will Be Blood.
Oh my god, no. Scott. Come on.
He did it, folks.
Come on now. Wait, did you nominate him for director?
No, I didn't.
Jesus Christ.
I was trying to forget that happened and just go past it.
I did not.
Don't do that.
It's fine.
It's like Love Island. We don't want to do that.
So my number 5, Lars and the Real Girl. I loved the movie. It was literally probably one of my first watches of this prep, and it still sticks with me even to this point. I can't say enough about that movie. It's so great. My number 4 is 3:10 to Yuma. I've loved this movie forever. I love the back and forth between Christian Bale and Russell Crowe. I think it's a highly underrated movie that not enough people talk about now. My number 3 is Talk to Me. You
almost didn't even see.
I was gonna say.
Almost didn't see, and it came roaring. I have a background in radio and stuff, and everything about the movie hit me in a way that I was not expecting. It's such a good movie, and knowing all the behind the scenes stuff with that just added another level for me. it might not be everybody else's like best movie, but I loved it so much. My number 2 is Juno. We've talked about that movie so much. It's witty, it's funny, it's sweet, it's everything about it's just great. And my winner, as I've said previously, I think it's the best movie of this year. I think it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Is No Country for Old Men.
And not to give another plug their way, but I'm happy to. Greatest movie of all time did that Cinema Legacy poll where they had a bunch of us in the podcast space give our 50 best movies of all time. And Scott, you had No Country, I believe at like 9. It was very, very high up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a feeling this was going to be your pick. And how do you argue? It's a masterpiece movie. As we talked about on your episode, go check that out. I'll have the link in the show notes here so you can go check out the three of us talking No Country like for a couple hours. Okay. Before we go over to Frankie to finish off the category, I'll jump in here in the middle and then we'll go from there. Okay. First off, I'm going to say of the 44 movies I watched for prep, 8 of them were first-time watches, which is a decent number. The highest rated first-time watch for me was the film Away From Her, so I'm very, very glad. This prep project always gives me the opportunity to see these nominated things I've never had the chance to, and Away From Her, I'm very, very happy I have seen that movie. Julie Christie obviously got my nomination, so that was my highest first-time watch. However, if I did have the opportunity to do 10, here are the 5 that just missed out on my Best Picture lineup. Ratatouille. I love Ratatouille so much. I'm so glad, Frankie, that you're on my side. Brad Bird was a cool nomination. I come from a restaurant industry background, and so like I did 10 years in kitchen management and restaurants and stuff like that. So Ratatouille's got a special place in my heart in the Pixar world. The Assassination of Jesse James, Gone Baby Gone, Michael Clayton, and Before the Devil Knows You're Dead are my 5 just outside. As far as the actual 5, Atonement is one of the 5 best movies of the year for me. Lars and the Real Girl. Yes, Scott, yes. That movie, I will champion Lars and the Real Girl to every person I ever have the opportunity to. Again, you might read a Letterboxd synopsis and be like, oh, that sounds just like hokey or whatever you preconceived notions you have of Lars and the Real Girl, put them aside. The movie is remarkably heartfelt and it has tremendous messaging throughout that whole film. I love it. No Country for Old Men, There Will Be Blood, and Zodiac are the final 3 in my 5. Again, comes down to 2. No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood. This year is almost exactly like 1950, which is the famous year that had All About Eve and Sunset Boulevard. Like No Country and There Will Be Blood will be linked in time forever up against each other. And just like All About Eve and Sunset Boulevard, flip a coin, pull an Anton Chigurh and flip it. Either movie is equally deserving of praise, but just for my personal taste, I think There Will Be Blood is the single greatest film of this century. I think it is one of the great pieces of American cinema. I think that movies are still being made today trying so hard, so desperately to replicate this idea of this American epic, The Brutalist, which, Scott, you had mentioned earlier. The Brutalist felt like Brady Corbet was trying to make There Will Be Blood, and for some people he came pretty close. I don't think he did. But this movie feels like an evolution of The Godfather, and again, these classic films about America and the foundational building of America in certain ways. The acting, the production design, the music, the cinematography, the oil rig scene. There are so many components to this film that are all harmoniously working together to make it a masterpiece. And so for me, this is the perfect movie for 2007. All right, Frankie, your turn.
Alrighty, so I also did like my 10 to 5 because I felt like it and I was mad I couldn't do it. So I just did it for myself. So my number 10 was Hot Fuzz. Number 9 was Across the Universe. Number 8 was Walk Hard. 7 was Lars and the Real Girl. And 6 was Ratatouille. All of them, which we've talked about already in great amounts. But yeah, those were all of my ones that didn't hit the top 5. But my top 5, number 5, Sweeney Todd. Number 4, Juno. I feel like even though I didn't nominate Jason Reitman for director, I still feel like the overall movie, because again, like that's a movie that on paper I feel like could very easily kind of fall into the shuffle of any random comedy of the 2000s, but just the vulnerability and the sincerity of it, the great performances, the screenplay, all that stuff, it really kind of elevates the whole thing. Number 3 was Atonement, and then of course we have our big guys in the top 2. I mean, I kind of said it when we were talking about director. I feel like they are both so evenly matched. I feel like it really could go either way. But I just went with my gut and my own personal feelings about it. And while I was excited to rewatch both of these movies, I felt like just super excited to rewatch No Country, because I feel like it's a movie where every time you see it, you take something new out of it. And I really liked it. And I feel like there's so much on paper about it that I normally would be like, it's fine. But it takes all of these different elements and really makes it so compelling, so like filled with tension, and like you don't know what the hell is going to happen. And I really, really love it. So I did end up giving No Country the edge and picking that as my best picture.
I just have to say, it pisses me off that these two movies had to come out in a 12-month span, because I love them both in equal ways, but very different ways. Because No Country is significantly more like, I'm likely to pull that off the shelf, because it's just, and you wouldn't think that a movie like No Country for Old Men would be like incredibly rewatchable, but it really is. And There Will Be Blood is not the movie where I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm just kind of bored and just want to turn on a movie. But when I like sit down and block off the time for it, I'm locked into it. So yeah, it drives me nuts that I have to like always have this internal struggle with these two movies because they're linked. But on the flip side, maybe they're both constantly elevating each other because of the competition, and they're sort of like stacking on top of one another. And so in some way, they're two sides of the same coin, continually helping each other survive legacy wise. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I had never seen either of them before this prep, and I even knew like they are so intertwined with one another. Like it's very well known that they're at each other's necks.
Yeah. So I had seen No Country for Old Men. I've seen it again multiple times. I never saw There Will Be Blood. I missed it the first time. So part of me does think my feelings for the movie are more because I came in really high. Mm-hmm. Like, and it's hard when you have a movie like There Will Be Blood or any movie that is talked about in such high esteem that you're like, oh yeah, everyone says it's amazing, and you walk into the movie and you're like, okay. Like,
yeah, I think you go into it, that's fair, with higher expectations because of the, the lore.
It's kind of got like that like 2001: A Space Odyssey effect where everyone's just like, well, it's one of the greatest films of all time. Like we're all raised on that notion, and then for a lot of people when they see it, they're like, what the hell was that? Like I've just wasted my time. Like that just happens.
So, I'm gonna probably take some time, and when I have another chance, I'm gonna rewatch the movie, and maybe I will like it more.
We did our job. We got you to want to rewatch it. That's enough.
I think, to be fair, I think Andrew's absolutely right. I think even though it's about an insane sociopathic serial killer, I think you're much more likely to pull No Country because it is like, I don't know what it is, but it's just so much more like, yeah, I just get like Jones and I'm like, oh yeah, let's watch No Country. But There Will Be Blood is very good, but it's just like a different vibe. It's a heavier vibe, maybe. So it's like, you have to get mentally in the right headspace.
Well, I also think No Country, because it has Tommy Lee Jones and, oh my God, why am I blanking?
Brolin?
Not sure.
Josh Brolin?
Josh Brolin.
Oh.
Because it has Tommy Lee Jones and Josh Brolin. You want to root for the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
So you as a person who watches movies are hardwired to be more like, I want these guys to succeed. I want these guys to best Shigor. And even though they do not, you are hardwired to root for them to do it. Daniel Plainview is not someone you want to root for.
Yeah, he's kind of like love to hate him kind of.
He is. You love the scene that I drink your milkshake.
That was such a good scene, though. That was like the best scene in the movie.
It is a great scene. It is an amazing. Again, I said it's a great performance, but you're not rooting for him. You're not rooting for Paul Dano.
No, but you kind of want to watch that guy like crash.
But you're watching these two people who are not good people, butt heads. So it's, as a deep down within like normal people, you're sitting there going like, who am I rooting for?
Yeah, because right before the milkshake scene, and I just rewatched it again, one of my favorite scenes in There Will Be Blood is not one of the more talked about ones, but it's the one where his son, not really his son, but when the kid comes back now an adult and like wants to like go off and be his own man, and the harsh reality of truth that Daniel puts on him is just like brutal. And I have never wanted a character to like see their demise so much than what he puts him through right in that scene in that room. So yeah, like it's hard to want to root for Daniel Plainview, even though like Day-Lewis is such a great actor that it's kind of like his Bill the Butcher in Gangs of New York, where you're like, this guy's an evil, terrible person, but you're just like having fun watching him like, bring his A game to the acting side of things. I am glad. I don't know if either of you really remember like this Oscars season in 2007, but I vividly remember both of these movies at the time were heavily scrutinized for the endings, which were both sort of famously like anticlimactic. There Will Be Blood obviously ends, and it ends with something big happening, but then it just kind of like ends with this line of, I'm finished, and nothing else happens. And then No Country ends with that very famous talk, but like it's sort of anticlimactic. And I just remember that Oscars season, everyone was talking about like both of these movies have bad endings, and now almost 20 years later, that's not a thing. Like the endings have really held up, I think, in an interesting way.
Well, yeah, I remember when I first watched No Country, I hated the ending.
Right.
I hated it.
We were yelling about it on our episode.
But like watching it multiple times, yeah, it does. There is just something so real about it in a way, because it is. It's like,
I remember on our episode, I was just like, so wait, this is it? This is the end of the movie? And Andrew was like, yeah, we know, sweetie. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, they're both kind of abrupt endings. But again, time has been really beneficial to both films, I think, because they both continue to grow in stature in a really large way. And it's nice to also see so many Best Picture winners get sort of like taken down a peg over time because they're kind of prisoner of the moment wins. And No Country for Old Men, certainly that is not the case. That movie has cemented itself as one of the all-time greats. So it's nice to see, like, even though people have so much reverence for There Will Be Blood, it's not necessarily at the expense of No Country. Most of us can acknowledge like both of them have a real strong place in cinema history, and so they're both important movies. But when we get to the vote, it will be up to you to make this very difficult decision. You can pick No Country for Old Men, the Academy, Frankie Scott, all on the side of the Coen brothers. I am on my own little PTA island with There Will Be Blood, but I feel like I've got a pretty good crop of support. This could be the tightest race I think we've had in a revised Best Picture. I think it's going to be really 50-50.
Yeah, it could easily be 51-49.
Yeah.
Yes. This would be, every now and then.
He's going to get his moment this year. He's going to get his moment.
I do wonder though, if in a couple of months from this going up, PTA wins Best Director, Best Picture, whatever. And I've said this on record. I feel like this is going to be his Martin Scorsese Departed year, which again, people always think I'm taking a shot at The Departed. I love The Departed. It's a great movie, but it's very palatable Scorsese movie.
Yes.
And I think One Battle is PTA's most accessible movie, just for like a wide audience. And so it's probably going to become the movie he wins for. And we'll do the same thing as we've done with Martin Scorsese, where like he won for that of all of his great movies or whatever the case may be. So I think we're going to end up in that exact same situation.
It's his most populous movie. I would imagine it's his most lucrative movie that he's made the most money. So yeah, for sure. But I do think it deserves it. Like I don't think anyone's gonna be mad. Well, maybe this guy, but I don't think anybody's gonna be mad if it wins. I think for the longest time, everyone thought Sinners was gonna win, and this movie came out, and they're like, "Well, never mind." So in that way, maybe some people will be mad, but I think it'll be okay. It'll be a good year this year. I'm happy because last year wasn't so fun.
It's funny that both of those movies have DiCaprio.
What movie?
Scorsese's The Departed.
Oh yeah.
And PTA's.
But Leo ain't winning.
No, I'm not saying he's winning. I'm just saying the guy
and
who
Leo wasn't winning for The Departed.
Hey, we're gonna give these like almost like their revised Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, this is for you because we know you've done all this work over the years. We're like, you probably should have won for Goodfellas.
Yeah, well, that's that's known to happen at the Oscars.
Scott, so Sinners is still your number one movie of the year?
Yes.
Okay, mine as well. Sinners is top dog for me. What about you, Frankie?
I would probably say Sinners as well. I really liked Sinners a lot. I want to go see Hamnet. This guy is dreading going to see Hamnet. I want to see it. I want to read the book first. But yeah, that's supposedly going to be up there. But right now it's looking like One Battle is taking everything, which I'm not mad about either.
I'm not mad about One Battle, but I am mad that it feels like Sinners, just by victim of coming out so early, is going to get lost in the shuffle, which drives me bonkers. That, again, we've just done an episode talking about 40 movies, and we didn't have to talk about a release date because it doesn't freaking matter when a movie comes out. Like, we should just acknowledge the best movies and not who care when it comes out during award season or whatever. And I think Sinners is going to be guilty of coming out way too early for Prisoner of the Moment.
I think they weren't expecting it to be as huge as it ended up being. Like, I think if they thought that it could actually go the distance, they would have waited. But
well,
it's still going to be in there.
Sinners has the early coming out against it, and the fact that it's a horror movie going against it.
Well, and you know what I didn't expect was I was at a Thanksgiving with a family, and we were talking movies, and Sinners came up, and someone said I didn't like Sinners because I don't like politics in movies, and I thought, oh, okay. Okay. Well, and I felt really bad because about 3 minutes before that sentence was uttered, I recommended One Battle After Another to them, and I thought if they don't like the politics in movies, I shouldn't have sent them down the One Battle route.
Because I'm trying to think. I'm like there is a little bit, but I wouldn't say the political message of Sinners is.
It's not even. Let's not get on it.
Oh God.
I had to just I had to disassociate at Thanksgiving for a little bit.
Like, shut up. That's silly.
I was left a little bit speechless. Okay. All right, before we wrap things up for this conversation, I do want to remind everybody, I'm going to take time to answer all of your listener questions in a mailbag episode a week after this goes up. There's a good chance Frankie and Scott will be doing something along with me. Hopefully we'll be able to get together. If not, I have a feeling they'll probably at least be on board with that, because I also am like 95% certain we got more questions for this than any other episode I've done to this point. So this was a big year for a lot of people, and we got a lot of questions ranging from all sorts of movies. I just want to thank everybody that sends those questions over. I do always appreciate them. It's going to do it for the recording, though. But again, this is just the beginning. Now that the picks have been made, it's up to you to decide what goes into the Almanac as the true winner. I'll be putting up social media polls in the coming days on 5 platforms, and I need your votes to be cast. The more places you follow the show, the more opportunities you have to vote for the things that you love. Before we sign off, though, I want to take a little bit of time to give Frankie and Scott their flowers for doing this, for helping me kick off season 3. I was so excited to have you two do this. I am such a big fan of Shoot the Flick and your dynamic between the two of you. So this is going to go up January 2nd. Why don't you tell people what they should be expecting from the show in the start of 2026?
So we just finished our 6th season of Shoot the Flick. We had a grand old time. But our 7th season is going to be kicking off in February. So we are in between seasons at this very moment. But if you don't know what our show is about, Scotty and I introduce each other to different movies that the other one has never seen. We span different decades, different genres, all that good stuff. And we sometimes agree and sometimes disagree. And this is just a taste of what that's like on the regular. But yeah, we are available. We usually come out with weekly episodes, and we are available anywhere pods are cast, Spotify, iTunes, all that good stuff. You can hit us up on Instagram at Shoot the Flick, and Scott handles our Twitter. So if you want to yell at Scott, go on Twitter at Shoot the Flick.
Yes,
that's the place to go for arguments is Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter and Blue Sky. Bring it on.
God. This is all fun, guys. Don't look at him. He's so sweet. He's such a nice guy. But yeah, this has been so fun. And thank you so much for having us. I hope we get to do this again, because this was like a mountain we had to like climb the hell over, and it was really fun. Now that it's done, I feel like I've run a marathon, and it's awesome. I feel very accomplished.
Yes.
Well, enjoy your relaxation while you don't have to do it. While I do it again in 3 weeks for another episode, because it's never ending. But no, I definitely want to have you both back on at some point in 2026. Like I said, I'm doing a whole bunch of new stuff on the show, so I'm going to be doing like some argumentative episodes where we pick a topic and we have people on both sides of the aisle. And I know from your show, whether it's Batman related or gangster movie related, there are going to be some arguments to be debated. And so I definitely want to have you both back on at some point in 2026 if you'll take the time. So I hope that will happen.
Gladly.
That'll be so fun.
Awesome. I'm definitely on Scott's side, by the way. Goodfellas over The Godfather.
Okay.
And I'll just leave it at that for right now. All right. Please also look out for the upcoming 2nd episode of Season 3. It's going to be coming in February. I'm going to be joined by not 1, not 2, but 3 guests. The only time I'll have a trio on this season, and it's the first time I'll have 3 guests on from down under in Australia. I've got James, Maddie, and Nick, a trifecta from I Was a Teenage Film Snob. We're going to be kicking it old school. We're going to be going back to the 1980s to cover an interesting year, that being 1987, which included movies like Broadcast News, Fatal Attraction, Moonstruck, Full Metal Jacket, the Coen Brothers' Raising Arizona, and much more, but where Bernardo Bertolucci's The Last Emperor claimed the actual Best Picture. I don't think he's going to be claiming the revised one. I'll put that on record right now. You can find me on Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, Letterboxd, Threads, TikTok, Rev Almanac is the handle. There's going to be timestamps on this, so you can go back and then listen to a specific category before you get to the voting. Again, I'll have links to everything that Scott and Frankie are doing with their show. So check that out in the show notes. Definitely follow them on all the socials. Listen to the pod. It was a pleasure having you both here. That's going to do it for now. And as Daniel Plainview would say, we're finished.